Eric, I'm on the PBI talking.
All right, we got a countdown, 3 minutes.
3 minutes? So it's live, but the sound's off?
Lotto.
And there's a countdown happening. She got your back.
Oh, always.
I know.
People from Russia checking in.
Awesome. I can't hear you. Da. That's it. Da. Yes. Nit. No.
All right,
I can't hear you on the disc.
that's fine.
All right.
2 minutes and 45 seconds.
All right, just let me know when to start. I'll acknowledge the audience. We're on camera too, correct? All right. Oh, Janine Butler styles. Military background?
Mm-hmm.
Same.
Military background too?
Military brat,
Oh,
Army brat.
man. Okay, we got 2 military
Never served.
background. Never served. Went into education and barbering for 26 years. How long?
What studio?
Hey, what's up, everybody? Good morning. Thank you guys for just joining our live here at Premier Barber Institute. We're doing a financial field day today, not just for our students, but for all of you who are watching and joining the live. Do me a favor and share, take some screenshots, and make sure you share it on your social media. I brought 2 people up here today, really good friends of mine out of the DMV area. We have Janine Butler and Laudo Styles, both of them with military background, both of them with barbering background. But some of the challenges they found in our industry were barbers weren't saving their money and had no idea how to manage their finances. So what they're going to talk about today is budgeting and finance. That's the thing that they're going to focus mostly on, is what to do with your money, understanding how your money is working for you, and to maximize even the little bit. So I'm going to turn it over to them. You've been 27 years in the game?
27 years cutting.
26 years cutting hair, about 8 years cutting, styling,
7.
makeup, 7 years.
Yeah.
So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Janine and to Laudo. So guys, if you don't know, their Instagram is Laudo Styles, LOTTOSTYLES. And for Janine is The Dope Day Maker. THEDOPEDAYMAKER. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for just sharing your time with our students. If you guys have any questions online, please let us know so we can ask those questions at the appropriate time. For the students that are in the audience, if you guys have any questions, there are some gift bags for you. Each one of you have a gift, a budgeting tool that's going to help you as they go through their program. There's a PowerPoint for you guys to watch, and so thank you guys for just being a part of it.
Excellent.
There you go. Thank you.
Thank you, Tyrik.
Thank you, Tariq, for having us here. I must say, before I introduce myself, I just want to say it's a pleasure to be here. I'm elated, I'm ecstatic, I'm happy that you guys took the career move and coming to barber school and trying to better yourself and become barbers. I wasn't fortunate enough to go to barber school, so I'm somewhat jealous. I did the apprenticeship program back in 1992, 93. But what you guys are learning here, I've known Tyrik for quite a while now. As soon as he learns something, he's the type of guy, he's going to pass it to the next person. So if you're willing to learn, you're going to grow with him, and it's really an honor. Oh, you're mic'd up, I'm sorry, okay.
All right, good morning, everyone. I am Janine Butler, also known as the Dope Day Maker. That's just my IG. I go by Jazzy. I have been in the game for 7 years. I started out Paul Mitchell graduate, so I went to cosmetology school first, and then a year later, I went to barber school, graduated from barber school, because I always knew that I wanted to learn and hone in on that craft as well, so that my female clientele can get both with just one individual. Like they said, 7 years in, I am also in the United States Army. I've been serving for 18 years. I joined right out of high school, so right now I'm a reservist, and when I came off active duty, we were in a time of a recession, and that's what drove me to hair school. I said I would never be in a position again where I don't feel like I could feed my son, and I was going to give me a recession-proof job. And I always had the craft, so it was never like I'm just going to go do it for a hustle. I always did hair. I just never knew that I would do it for the rest of my life. So fast forward to now, I've been working in barbershop at White's Barber Co. in Laurel, Maryland for 6 years, and just growing from there. I met Lotto at the shop, and he taught me how to do bookkeeping. What you guys are gonna learn today is what I learned from him about 3 years ago. When you're in the military, you get a check on the 1st and the 15th. You know your money's coming. As a barber, you get money every day. And when it's time to pay a bill, sometimes you look up and you don't have that money that you know you made, because at the end of the day, it comes down to managing it. Where is your money going? Where are you putting it? How much is coming in? And knowing that is the most important. And a lot of barbers in the industry do not know how much they make per year, because we handle so much money. We have no system. And so what you're gonna learn today is how to calculate your annual income and be successful financially, as successful as you are behind the chair in your craft. All right? So, we posed a question, and I want you all to think about this question. Don't answer it. We're going to save your answer for the end of the class. But do you consider yourself a lion or a gazelle? So when you look at, a lion, you look at a gazelle, what do you see yourself as in the world?
Food for thought right now.
Yeah, so just think about this. Remember this slide. Remember what you chose, and we'll talk about it at the end of the class, okay? What is bookkeeping? Does anyone have an idea of the definition of what you can say bookkeeping is? Keeping a track of your income, okay? Bookkeeping is the process of recording what your income and your expenses are.
First gift bag right.
Thank you for your answer. That is exactly what that is.
So you hit the nail on the head. Bookkeeping is simply the process of recording your income and your expenses. Simply put, it's tracking what you what you earn and what you burn. Well, that's easy put, but what are we tracking? How much money we got coming here? How much money do you actually make? And knowing that's when I created this class, that was the hard part for me. I was making a lot of money, but didn't know where it was going at the end of the day. I'm sorry, I didn't. I was making a lot of money, wasn't sure where it was going by the end of the day. You had different people coming in here. We had the DVD guy coming in. I might make up $100, $20 for this person, $10 for this food, going here, going there. So at the end of the day, I wasn't left with a lot of money. So it's very important that you know how much money you make, because eventually you're gonna buy your dream house, maybe buy a new car, and the first thing they ask you is how much money you make. I don't care where you go, whether you're applying for a loan, regardless how good your credit is, the first thing that they're gonna ask you is how much money do you make? There was a time I didn't know. I remember I was gonna buy a car. It was a 1993 Honda Accord station wagon. Beautiful car, blue, gray interior. And I was so excited about it. I don't really recall how much I don't really remember how much it cost. But when I got there, the first thing they asked me, at the time, I was like maybe 18, 19. I was getting paid under the table. So I didn't have documentation. I really didn't know, was I making 20,000, 30,000? I didn't have a system in place. All right, so then we came up with the system. We're a little old school. We're going to use an appointment book. So basically what I did was every time I cut a person's hair, I would log it in the appointment book. And you have that in front of you. I would write down, you know, if I had a 5 o'clock appointment, a 6 o'clock appointment, I would write that person's name down and write exactly how much they gave me. You have an example right there in your workbook.
Is there anyone that is not a student that needs to get documents? Got you. You mind? I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, so I would log in every client. I'm going back to. I would log in every client. I would calculate the daily total. I would put down how much I charged them, what the tip was, and at the end of the day, if you look on there, say if it's a Tuesday or Wednesday, you would see there on that sheet how many people I cut, add them up. I'd write down how many services there were, and I would say, hey, I cut, you know, made $400 for the day. I had three or four people there.
So the good thing, whether you're working, which I use myself, I still use an appointment book. So regardless of what I do, acuity, when I book my guests online, I still use an appointment book, hard copy. Someone may walk in, so they might not be on your schedule in Acuity or Style C or whatever it is that you use for your booking system. That data because it was a walk-in. But if you use the appointment book system, you know that this person came in, I serviced them, and this is how much I made that day. So you can still your online booking service, whatever it is that you're using, but I would recommend that you still use the appointment book because that's going to give you your actual numbers, okay?
So if you look at May 21st, I made $210. I cut 6 clients. Yes.
I got a question. So even if someone doesn't have
what it's for. Yep.
Absolutely. Regardless of online, definitely get you in the mindset of documenting your guests because you want to capture everyone that you service, and you want to actually know at the end of the week how much you really brought in because you have a family, you have bills, you have things that you need to take care of. So you want to actually know what you're bringing in.
And this takes, you know, we do this every night at the end of the day. We tally up our totals. You practice discipline. You have to document everything. You
have to document it. If you do not document everything, you're going to miss someone, like I said, a walk-in. You might think, okay, I know who I had today because I got it on my online booking. But like I said, you might get 2, 3. You don't remember what the guy name was that you served, what you serviced him for, and then money in your pocket, you don't even know who gave you what. So even Lotto likes to stop between guests, and so right after he takes the service, he documents it. So because this is his system, he has it already listed in the appointment book. For me, I balance it right after the guests leave. He documents how much they paid him, and then he moves on to the next service, which is fairly easy. You know, it takes 2 seconds. So I would suggest the moment you service them, write them down, write down what they paid you, what they tipped, and then you on to your next service.
Names, does anyone know what the CC stands for?
Or if you can get, what do you think the CC might
Only a
stand
few
for?
names have those. Credit card? Credit card.
There you go.
Exactly. Somebody paid with a credit card. Sir, you get that? You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, so the CC stands for credit card. I try to log in everything, so at the end of the night, if I have $150, but I made 210, I know 150 is cash, the remaining 60 must have been credit card. So I'm almost like reconciling or balancing my books as I go along per day.
And then that way, when you separate it, you would know, okay, whatever transaction, however you're using it, and we'll go over different streamlines, whether you're using Square, PayPal, whichever, you know where that money is. When you look in your pocket, like, I know I did X amount of services. Okay, well, most of them were credit cards. Absolutely. So for us, I use Square. Square charges you to swipe 2.5%. If you input the number manually, Square charges you 3.5%. So in my Square, I set it at 3.5% as a tax, and then you let the guests know that if you use your credit card, there will be a service charge because you don't want to incur that fee. Okay, so you want to include that as a tax on whichever way you're accepting the money, include it there, and then they will have to know that just like if you go anywhere and they say it's a processing fee if you use a credit card, it's the same thing. That way that 2.5 or 3.5% isn't coming out of your pocket and you get the exact amount for the service, and that charge falls on the guest. That's a great question.
Excellent question. Impulse shopping. 2018 survey by slickdeals.net. Shoppers blow around $5,400 a year.
That is a lot of money to just blow. I was once that person. Like I said, I wasn't tallying up my money at the end of the day. You'll be amazed how much money you spend in a week, whether it's takeout. A big thing for me, Saturdays are usually our busiest day. So on a good Saturday, I was going to the nearby mall, and I was buying me all the sneakers I can get. I mean, I just had money. I had that itch. I needed to spend it. So we're going to show here when you're going to write down your obligations, and you're going to be just more responsible in taking care of your money. Sure.
Yes.
You said you was one of the people, right, that had that itch to spend money.
Absolutely.
As you got older, how did you humble yourself to not make that decision again?
The question is, I was that type of person to spend money. I had that itch. As I got older, how was I able to humble myself? When I came up with this system and I saw how much money was going out, I started looking at it like, man, I had to have all these sneakers, $200, $300. By the end of the month, I'm spending $1,000 on sneakers. I can afford a bigger home, maybe a nicer car. So it's not that you don't stop buying. Maybe your toys or your vices are different, but you start buying things that are of value. You start looking into, as you get older, when you're 18, 19, 20, I wasn't saving money for retirement. When I started hitting 30, 35, that extra money I was blowing on takeout and stuff, $25, $30, $40 a day, I started using it to a 401k or an IRA account.
Also, I like to add to that, when barbering or cosmetology, whichever you're in, when that becomes your primary source of income, you'll humble yourself because now okay, I don't have, a second income. Like for me, I'm in the reserves now. However, we're talking about a check for just the weekend and not for 2 weeks. So when you start to see that this is your lifeline, you're going to then prioritize where you put your money so that you maintain your bills and then you're able to budget for the lifestyle that you want to live.
She, quote that you had one time, she said, every day I go to work, I'm unemployed until I cut my first client. And when she said that to me one day, I was like, you're unemployed, because you're 100% commission. All the money you make is yours, depending if you have, booth or situation or whatever. But every day we go to work, I'm unemployed until I cut my first client. So knowing that, knowing I had to pay mortgage, knowing I had to pay a rent, car note, you will really be selective in what you do with your money. Great question, too. Let me give you that as well.
Now, that number, the 5,400 per year, that's about $330,000 over a lifetime. And let's say lifetime is a 60-year span. You're talking about blowing $330,000 just impulsively, just once. So keep that in mind. And like Lotto mentioned, having the cash on hand makes it easier to spend the money, makes it easier to entertain a solicitor shop. Everybody wants Girl Scout cookies. Oh, we selling these capes and these scarves. And if it's not anything you need, you should consider that and maybe, back a little
And when
bit.
that money's coming so fast, I would blow $50. Oh, I'll just cut another client. Blow 40. Oh, I'll just cut 2 more clients. Not realizing, we have slow days. Not every day you're gonna cut 10, 20 people. I've been, if it's inclement weather like we just had, there's been Saturdays I'm only cutting like 2 people. But the Saturday prior to that, I banged out 24. So you have to be disciplined because it is up and down like that.
So I do have another question.
Sure.
Speaking that you said that's our lifeline, is it anywhere in that time you had the trade-offs and the non-negotiables?
Elaborate.
As in like say if, you see a Gucci bag that you want.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a trade-off or a non-negotiable?
Well, yes, you do have time. So the question is there any time that you have trade-offs and non-negotiables when it comes down to what you want? And it all depends on your vice. What is your thing? Some people are into sneakers. Others are into cigars. Some people like to collect, I don't know, you name it, whatever their vice is. If you like whatever it is that you like, you have to consider how is this going to affect me for the week or the month. So you can still, like we said, whatever it is that you want. For me, I'm not going to sacrifice just doing it because now that I've learned the system, I'm very, very less impulsive because I can still get what it is that I want. I just may not be able to get it right then. And that's okay. Now, if you feel like you want it, hey, look, I'm not going to fake like there hasn't been times where I just got something, but you just have to know that you're going to have to work to get that back if you weren't in a position to have it. So you make that, that decision, and prayerfully it's a good judgment call, something you can make up. But if not, just take your time. Know that now, but and as long as you or whatever it is that you want, you can have.
And we're not saying don't buy what you buy. We're just saying you'll be able to make a better informed decision on what you buy because you actually know how much you make.
Exactly.
Okay, can I afford those shoes or those shoes? I really want these. And I walk around now when I go to the mall or go car shop. All right, something's $200. I'm like, all right, I can cut 4 more heads. I start doing the math in my head. How much work am I going to have to do? Because when I was 18, I used to be able to stand up all day. I'm 44 now. I take breaks every 3-4 clients. I'm stretching. I'm like, that's a nice shirt, but I don't want to have to work. I'm good. Where am I going? So you start making, as you get older, you start thinking like that. You know what I mean? And you realize that, man, I can't stand up. I find myself doing more, stand up. But I think it's very important. And you start really seeing how much money you make, you want to start keeping some of that money. All right. Great question, too.
All right, this next slide is the envelope system. Inside of your book, and you received an envelope, okay? And the purpose of this envelope is to avoid the unnecessary purchases while you're handling your cash. So the envelope is basically, it comes with you to the shop with your appointment book. And what you do is you put your cash payments in that envelope. Okay?
At the end of the day.
At the end of the day, once you finish all your services, your cash payments go into that envelope. Okay? Now, creates a visual so that you can see how much you make. It reinforces habits. It also helps you set those weekly goals. So let's say at the end of the day, you made $100 in your envelope, you write is anytime that I did have to dibble and dabble in my cash, I would subtract it off the back of the envelope. So if I took $40 out for gas, let's say I paid for gas in cash, I would subtract $40 and I would annotate gas. So I know that that's what I spent that cash on. Ultimately, you don't want to touch your envelope until the end of the week. Okay? You want to get all of that money saved in that envelope until the end of the week. Now, if you buy lunch, you can set yourself up and say, okay, I'm going to take $10 a day if you work 5 days, so $50 out of my envelope, and that's all the cash that I'm going to have because this is going to be for lunch for the week, but I'm not in my envelope. Ultimately, what you want to do is you want to pay yourself, but how can you pay? You're spending, get it. So if you put your money in the envelope and you're annotating what you're making, that envelope is just stacking. So Monday you did 20, 200. Tuesday you did 90. Wednesday you made 3 in cash. And you're seeing that envelope build. You're not going to want to touch it.
Trust me, you're going to see how that money comes up. Instead of just walking around with a big knot and you're just peeling off 20s, peeling off 30s, wherever you're going, when you start to see that money at the end of the night, put into that envelope, and you see a visual, I made $200 a day, like you said. Then you made 90 the next day. Then you did 150. By the end of the week, you're like, I made that much money. I got $600-700 in cash. I'm not going to the mall. This thing is stacking up quicker than I thought, because you're training yourself. As soon as you get it, maybe put 10 in your pocket for lunch.
Absolutely.
Like that. You start stacking those 20s and those 50s in there, you'll be amazed how much money you have at the end of the week. And once you see it on paper, you're reluctant to spend it. Trust me, it works every time.
So it's definitely going to help you save. And like I said, don't short yourself. You still have to live. So no, you can't dabble in your envelope, but you're going to be very cautious and cognizant on what you're going into your. All right, electronic payments. So we spoke here about your credit cards. The purpose is to effectively pay yourself weekly. So you have your envelope system for your cash, and you have your electronic payments for your credit cards. And when it comes to the electronic payments, you do any withdrawals. The purpose is you want all of those transactions, because on Monday, typically with most, because we use Square, but it closed on Monday. If you start Tuesday to Friday, all of your Tuesday to Saturday, all of your adding up, and come Monday, everything that you did that week. Okay, so now you have this lump sum of credit card payments that you want to do whatever account.
Your personal checking account. Your envelope with on that Monday or Tuesday. It's better to move it as a lump sum. And I look at it like I just paid myself. We're making, $50, $100, $200. It's very sporadic throughout every day of the week. But at the end of the envelope system, your cash, maybe you can touch that, but then you can move hundreds of dollars from your business account.
Okay, so then you look at your envelope system. So you have your electronic payments that cleared on Monday, you have your envelope, and now you can determine, okay, I'm gonna put this in the, right? I'm gonna hold on to this amount for next week, because you want the envelope to keep collecting. Now, if you wanna hold on to all of your cash, it's totally up to you. But if you wanna see all of your money, you have a specific account that all that money is going into, then you let your electronic payments stack up. You do not swipe, okay, until you have paid yourself, all right? To include the cash. So you deposit the cash, you got your electronic payments, now you have what you made for that week prior.
All right, you wanted to do the lump sum at the end of the week?
I just moving money, like say I had a credit card charge on a Tuesday, then I moved it by Thursday. I might have spent that $100 on something. Or I see little deposits in my personal checking account, little increments. 100 here, 200 there. I'd have to go on my checkbook and balance it out and see, okay, I got this deposit. But if I waited to the end of the week or the following week, beginning Monday, when everything hits, I could move $900 of credit card transactions. I might have had 6 or 7 in cash in my envelope. Then if I didn't have to use that $900, by the second week, I might have made $700 in credit card transactions. Now I got $1,600. And I started kind of like living off my cash, and then my credit card transactions were just amounting to a bigger and greater number.
For me, like on Square, you can let it all collect. And so at the end, on Saturday, whatever I did in Square, go to the balance and I'll transfer everything Saturday. And by Monday, it'll be in my account. All right, this next slide ties into your electronic payments. So this is the stream. All right. A lot of people take different types of electronic payments. You might use Square, Venmo, Apple Pay, App, PayPal. You have all these different forms or platforms that you can receive money electronically. And those are all your electronic payments. Now, the importance, right? Importance of streamlining. Streamlining means you want to hone in on one electronic payment to use, okay? And the reason is one, it's easier to track. You don't want Venmo, Cash App, Apple Pay, and Square, because now your money is in all those 4 different places.
So you might have made $400 in credit card transactions. I got 200 in Cash App. I got 300 in Zelle, this and that. And for me, it became very difficult. And then when Zelle came out, oh, Lotto, you don't take Zelle? I'm already taking Cash App, PayPal. What more do you want? So we're trying to make it easier for the client, and I get that. But to me, I think just accepting cash or one form of electronic transaction, well, for me, it's Square. I use Square for credit card. I think that should suffice. I can't, for every 10 clients that come in, this document, and track down that document, and get a 10. And I felt like, yes, the customer's always right, we want to make them happy, but they'll conform. You stick to your gun and say, hey, I'm only choose whichever one you want. I believe, Tariq, you're a PayPal guy, right? So just choose one form, and I think that just makes it easier for data collection.
For all those that use Square, and PayPal also offer it as well, the more transactions you do, you're building credit with these platforms. So Square will offer you a loan, right? And they'll offer you a loan based off of how much they see in your swiping. And what that does is, one, it allows you to get a lump sum to put towards your business, or let's say you had an emergency to your car and you didn't have the money right away, but you've been doing all these Square transactions, $350 in a loan. You don't have to pay the loan back directly. Okay, it comes right out of your swipes. A percentage of your swipes is going to reimburse whatever dollar amount. So the other good side of that is you don't coming out. You don't see the money. You're not going in and like, oh, I got to go pay on this loan. As you swipe, it's going to take a percentage of your swipe, and then you're building credit with a company that you're already using. And then they're going to offer you even more. So say you pay off that $3,500 loan, they come back and you might be in a jam. You don't have to accept it every time, but they might come back and say, hey, we're gonna offer you $7,000 this time. And it just keeps building because you showed that you were in good faith, you paid that loan, and you're doing it through your swipes. So think about that, as entrepreneurs, sometimes we have to make very crucial business decisions, and not all the time do you have just a lump sum, but that's a great alternative, low interest, and you're never seeing the money directly come out of your pocket because they're going to automatically take a small percentage of your swipes. So consider always using one form. That way you get one 1099 at the end of the year when it comes tax time. Make it easier for preparation, okay? All right, expenses and saving. What you spending, what are you saving? All right, we start with the expenses. Now, inside of you guys' book, you will see a bill list. So, in order for you to know what your expenses are, you first need to identify what your expenses are. You need to identify what your bills are. So this is a example of what it would look like if you jot down all of your bills, you have all of your expenses, okay? And so this is what we call a paid checkoff list. So every month, myself, Lotto, we, on a piece of paper, write down what our bills are, right? You have in the next block, you write when is it due? And then when did you pay it? Okay? So this is going to keep you on track. That way, and then I typically like to put my bills in order in which they come out. So I know, okay, at the beginning of the month, I'm going to be shelling out more money. So my expenses at the beginning of the month might be over $2,000. But I know at the end of the month, I don't have that many bills. So whatever I make once my bills are paid, that money belongs to me. So if you look at that list, you'll see at the bottom is your separate breakdown. You have operating costs and you have your personal expenses. So all of the expenses are listed in that on the list at the top, but then it's separated at the bottom by what category they go into, what expenses are for operating and what expenses are for your personal.
And I started writing at the end of the month. I used to forget, oh, was the cell phone bill due, or did I pay the water bill? So I needed to hold myself accountable, be a little more responsible. So I need to see it. I'm so visual. I wrote everything down on paper, and once I already know what I made a day, a week, a month, I could subtract that. And basically what I did, I just created a budget. So now I see how much money I have left over. Am I going to save more? Am I going to play with that? Can I take my lady out to the movies? Can I buy those shoes again? Can I get a nicer house? You'll be able to know what's left after you get all your expenses and subtract them from what you're making.
And so at the bottom, you'll see where the expenses are broken down. There's the actual dollar amounts beside it. How much are those going to cost you? So if you're a monthly type person, I'm more of a weekly day type person, right? Because my motto is I'm unemployed every day. You come to the shop, you're unemployed until you cut someone. So if you look at the sheet, you'll see how much the actual expenses are. Can I see that? So for the operating expenses on this example, it costs the barber $13.54 a month in operating expenses. That's how much their operating expenses is. And that come from, from their booth rent, whatever, the online booking, storage, business insurance, QuickBooks, all those costs, right? Once you tally those up, you're going to get, if you divide that by 4, $338.25 a week. If you make at least that, you got that to cover your operating expenses. And then you go down to the personal expenses, the same thing. Tally up all your personal expenses. And don't forget your Apple subscriptions. So we challenge you guys to go home today, okay, pull all your bills, everything that you have to pay for, a $99 subscription, whether it's that or your car wash membership. You write down anything that's coming out of your account, gym membership, whatever it is that you're paying, you write that down on a piece of paper, just like this. When is that bill due? And then you just go down, how much is it costing you? And you tally that number up. Once you divide that by 4, that lets you know how much you need to make each week in order to at least cover your bills at minimum. So on this sheet, this barber must make at least $934.50 a week in order to cover personal and operating expenses. And if you want to be a day-to-day person, if you break it down, let's say you work 5 days a week, that's about $189 a day. So if I made $250 today, I'm on par with making sure my bills are going to be covered, right? So you break it down as far as you need to, but start out with how much your monthly expenses are, how much do they cost you, and then you'll know exactly how much you need to be bringing in on a weekly basis or monthly basis if you want to operate on a monthly scale.
So then going back to visually, you know how much money you brought in cash, you know how much money you brought in electronic transactions, and now you see what money is going out. You need to make a decision on one or two things. Either I need to make more money, or I need to cut some of these expenses.
Exactly. So you'll be able to get that visual and see, hey, this is what it costs to me. This is how much I'm bringing in, and your expenses might outweigh your income, and you won't know that until you put it down on paper.
Another thing to kind of keep in mind is some alarming, according to MarketWatch.com, 44% of Americans have $400 cash to cover an emergency. Expenses, whether you got your cell phone bill, your rent, water, whatever you're doing. Just to know that sometimes you're going to have expenses that are going to be on that list. They might tire, your car, anything can happen. 44% of Americans don't even have enough to cover $400 worth of emergencies. I was once that person. I fully admit that. I'm not anymore because I budget now. On SpendMe.com, 69% of adult Americans have less than $1,000 in their savings account. I didn't have $1,000 in my savings account either. Cutting hair spoiled me. I was so used to having money day to day. Oh, if I blew $300 today, I'll have a good day tomorrow. Oh, I had a good day. Oh, man, you can do better the next day. Sometimes my luck ran out. I didn't have such a good day, and I didn't have a savings account, so some things didn't get paid. Some things fell in default. Some things you get behind, and you're digging yourself out the hole. And as barbers, times like that, I mean, it's real. It does happen. You're paying yourself, and then you got to do not forget it is essential. It's very important that you have some type of savings plan.
So the way to break down the savings, you want to create an end of the year goal, okay? So let's say the goal for you is I want to have $5,000 in my savings account, right? Best way to do that is we know there's weeks in a 52 weeks in a year. So in order to achieve that, save $100 a week. Well, once you calculate your expenses, calculate what's going out, what's coming in, do you make enough? Do you make enough to save $100? If you do make enough to save $100 a week, then you should consider that. So when you cash out and you saved all your cash in the envelope and you paid yourself on Monday through your electronic, before you do anything, put that $100 aside. And I had done that, the first year I done it was like a week. If that means that I have to sacrifice in a year, I had $5,200. Well, I had an outstanding is it Navient now? You know, but and a year prior, I would have been like, dang, I wish I had $1,700. It was a $20,000 debt.
So you figure you're in a hole, 20,000, and somebody's going to settle for 7. Man,
You can't beat that.
even if you got to pawn something. Man,
You
gotta
can't beat it. And considering that was the biggest blessing of my life, and when I thought back, you know, because I had saved, I was able to go ahead because before I didn't. And so think about whatever you're making, whatever your income is. Once you look at all your expenses, make an obtainable goal. You know, it might not be $100 for you. You know, it might be $20 a week. Be
25.
right. Start out $25 a week, but just don't touch that money. Okay. We get the money as barbers. We're getting. But I mean, we're getting that money in hand, so you'll be able to budget it easier. That way, if you put it aside initially, if you put it aside first, and you just touch it, you know it's already taken care of. So once you finish at the end of the week, if you put away your savings, everything else, you know, okay, either if it ain't going to a bill, then whatever is left is mine. So
First of every day. That's first client he cut, he'll put that money aside and put it in an envelope and then deposit it at the end of the week. Very, very, whatever your number is for you, just because you know $5,000, that seems for me was to save $2,000. Well, if I divide that by 52 and see what that number is. The point is you want to, one, get in the habit of saving, and two, have something to fall back on, just in case.
And let it build, okay? That's the key. Do not touch. So here's a budgeting formula. We already referred to the bill checklist. And this is, okay? Your personal expenses, well, minus your personal expense, minus your operating costs, minus your savings. Then whatever that number is what you have, okay?
And you have to determine, am I happy with that number? It was for me for a long time. So some things have to change. I either had to work hard at the shop, advertise, get more clients, perhaps find a part-time job, or to minimize some of my expenses. So that's why we left the question mark here. You determine what the number is going to be and whether it's satisfactory to you. Control over your money. You dictate where your money is coming from, where your money is going. Once you see it visually on paper, you decide, I'm not paying for that. I'm not buying that. I don't need that. You take financial, I want to pay $4,000 by the end of the year, $2,000, or I want to do this, I want to do that. But they have to be practical, that way they're achievable. Your eyes. I remember when I saw the bills I had, I couldn't believe I was really spending that kind of money to fit my lifestyle and what I could.
Because you take your financial, it makes talking about
It says, poor, it's, but if you die poor, if you're born poor, situation, what your background is, you can't you have the knowledge. Once you have you're going to school, you have great teaching, and you change that, and you still die poor, it's your fault. Benefits of bookkeeping. So overall, documenting all this information, what you're doing a day, what your expenses are, creating a budget, financial resources, and really gets you creates a financial roadmap. What your goals are. You're a barber now, but where do you see yourself in 5 years, 10 years? And I want to say money is everything. Money gives you access to stuff and allows you to do things and get things done. It makes tax preparation a lot simpler for your accountant and for yourself. You do have some responsibility when you go see an accountant. You don't leave everything up to him. You do have a responsibility, some ownership to that. But it's also your prepare your documents once you somehow have everything documented electronically and visually. Help make sound financial decisions based on your performance, what your numbers are. You want to open up a shop. Do I want to work here? Do I want to do this? Do I want to buy that? Can I afford this? As you get older, our toys get bigger. You're going to start a family. You're going to might want a new car. You want to move from an apartment to a townhouse. You really, really can do that once you see what money's coming in and you
Okay, track weeks, months, allows you to measure your growth. Fine in business. Okay. Your target haircut, so it lets you know your sweet spot. In order to achieve your financial margin, are your prices too high? And also, if you're starting off here, where do you want to be? So you see where you are, and you'll be able to determine where you want to be later. COVID-19 hit the industry very hard. There are barbers this aren't cut because of the pandemic. Your clientele was no expenses because of the you gotta buy Lysol and all those things. So with this system, and because you were able to track your stuff, it puts you a step further. It puts you ahead of those individuals who had nothing. You know, think about all the individuals hard and then to switch to something else because COVID hit and it affected them.
Now, if you look at the appointment book, you look at that snapshot from that week.